Hello dear students, welcome to English literature class. I am going to start the chapter My Greatest Olympic Prize by J.C. Owens. You please open your books and start studying. It was the summer of 1936. Mind it, the season was summer and the year was in 1936. The Olympic Games were being held in Berlin. Games were being held in Berlin because Hitler was the dictator, Hitler childishly insisted that his performers were members of a master race. Nationalistic feelings were at an all-time high. Hitler childishly insisted that his performers, the performers of his race were member of a master race. He used to think that his race is master race. So he felt the nationalistic feelings in each and every member of the athlete. So nationalistic feelings were at an all-time high because he insisted them. Here J.C. Owens, the narrator, says that I wasn't too worried. I here is narrator. I wasn't too worried about all this. He was Negro. J.C. Owens was a Negro. He wasn't too worried whether the members of master race or the performers of Hitler are being participate in this game. So he was not worried. The narrator was not worried because he had trained himself, sweated and disciplined myself for 6 years. He continued, J.C. Owens, the narrator, continuously trained himself, sweated himself and disciplined himself for 6 years with the games in mind. The game that he had to win the game, it was in his mind, and therefore he trained himself, sweated, disciplined for 6 years. While I was going over on the boat, all I could think about was taking home 1 or 2 of those gold medals. When he left the house to go to Berlin, he thought that surely he would win 1 or 2 of those gold medals. I had my eye especially on the running board jump. He had his eye especially on the running board jump. A year before, as a sophomore means a student in the second year of a college at Ohio State University. 1 year ago, he was a student of the second year of a college at Ohio State University. I had set the world's record of 26 feet 8 hole 1 upon 4 inches. He had already a world record of jumping 26 feet 8 hole 1 upon 4 inches. Everyone kind of expected me to win that Olympic event hands down. Everyone hoped, everyone expected that surely I would win the Olympic prize. I was in for a surprise when the time came for the broad jump trial. I was startled to see a tall boy hitting the pit at almost 26 feet on his practice leaps. He was startled to know that a tall boy hitting 26 feet on his practice leaps, and you knew that he had the world record of 26 feet 8 whole 1 upon 4 inches. So he startled that probably he would win the jump. He turned out to be a German named Luz Long. His name was that tall boy. The tall boy, his name was Luz Long. He was a German. I was told that Hitler had kept him under wraps, evidently hoping to win the jump with him. Luz Long, he was the person of German, he was the person of Hitler, and as he used to think that his race is the master race, so Hitler thought that he would win the jump. I guessed that if Long won, it would add some new support to the Nazis' Aryan superiority theory. I thought that if Long means Luz Long, would win, it would add some new. It would make a chapter of history. It would be a history, new history, to support the Nazis' Aryan superiority theory. After all, I am a Negro. The narrator is Negro, and he did not want that. He wanted to break the Aryan superiority theory. That was his aim. A little hot under the collar about Hitler's ways, I determined to go out there and really show the Führer and his master race who was superior and who wasn't. He made up his mind. He determined that he would defeat his opponent anyhow. An angry athlete is an athlete who will make mistakes, as any coach will tell you. It is said that an angry athlete is an athlete who will make mistakes, as any coach will tell you. If any athlete is in angry mood, he cannot perform well. I was no exception. He was also in angry mood. On the first of my 3 qualifying jumps, I leaped from several inches beyond the takeoff board for a foul. On the second jump, I fouled even worse. Then he thought that, did I come 3,000 miles for this? For what? For what I come here? For making so many fouls? I thought bitterly. The narrator thought bitterly. To foul out of the trials and make a fool of myself, he thought. Walking a few yards from the pit, I kicked disgustedly at the dirt. Suddenly I felt a hand on my shoulder. He was in angry mood and he was so frustrated. Suddenly, the narrator felt a hand on his shoulder. I turned to look into the friendly blue eyes of the tall German broad jumper. He had easily qualified for the finals on his first attempt. He was a good athlete. He offered me a firm handshake. He He offered me a firm handshake. He shook my hand, offered me a firm handshake. Jesse Owens, he said. Jesse Owens, I am Les Long. I don't think we have met. We have never met. He spoke English well, though with a German twist in it. There was a German twist in it. Glad to meet you, I said. I also said that I am very glad to meet you. Then, trying to hide my nervousness, as he was nervous and frustrated, he added, how are you? I am fine. The question is, how are you? How are you means, what do you mean? I asked. Something must be eating you. Something. There is something that that is something. There is something that gives you trouble, he said, proud the way foreigners are when they have mastered a bit of American slang. You should be able to qualify with your eyes closed. He consoled himself that you should be very cool, and you should be able to qualify with your eyes closed. You should be able with your eyes closed if you have some cool your mind. Believe me, I know it, I told him, and it felt good to say that to someone. Les Long consoled him, and he felt that something has been good for him. For the next few minutes, we walked together for some time. I didn't tell Long what was eating me, what was giving trouble me, but he seemed to understand my anger. He understood that I was in anger, and he took pains to reassure me. Although he had been schooled in the Nazi youth movement, he didn't believe in the Aryan supremacy business any more than I did. Though he had been schooled in the Nazi youth movement, but he didn't think that he is the supreme, he is the superpower man. We laughed over the fact that he really looked the part, though an inch taller than I. He was an inch taller than me, and he had a lean, muscular frame, clear blue eyes, blonde hair, and a extremely handsome, chiseled face. This is his appearance. Finally, seeing that I had calmed down somewhat, now after talking to Les Long, he calmed down. The narrator calmed down himself. He pointed to the takeoff board. Les Long pointed him to takeoff board. He said, "Look," he said, "why don't you draw a line of you?" He has given idea. He has given idea to the narrator. Why don't you draw a line a few inches in back of the board and aim at making your takeoff from there? It was a good idea. That is given by Les Long. Students, please underline this. What advice he has given to the narrator, please note it down. You will be sure not to foul, and you certainly ought to jump far enough to qualify. What does it matter if you are not first in the trials? Try again and again. Tomorrow is what counts. Suddenly all the tension seemed to ebb out of my body. All the tension was out of from my body, and the truth of what he said hit me. The idea hit him. The idea given by Lazlong hit the narrator. Confidently, I drew a line a full foot in back of the board and proceeded to jump from there. He proceeded from that line. I qualified with almost a foot to spare. He qualified. That night I walked over to Lazlong's room in the Olympic Village to thank him. He went to his village. He went to the room where Lazlong stayed. He went there to thank him. I knew that if it hadn't been for him, I probably wouldn't be jumping in the final the following day. We sat in the quarters and talked for 2 hours. We means the narrator and Lazlong. About tracks and field, ourselves, the world situation, a dozen other things. They talked 2 hours about these matters. When I finally got up to leave, we both knew that a real friendship had been formed. A real friendship had been formed between the narrator and Lazlong. Laz would go out to the field the next day trying to beat me if he could. But I knew that he wanted me to do my best. He wanted to. Lazlong wanted me to do my best, even if that meant my winning. Lazlong wanted that I should win the jump. As it turned out, Laz broke his own past record. In doing so, he pushed me on to a peak performance. I remember that at the instant I landed from my final jump, the one which set the Olympic record of 26 feet 5 whole 5 upon 16 inches, he was at my side, congratulating me, despite the fact that Hitler glared at us. He was disappointed. Hitler disappointed so much. Glared at us from the stands, not 100 yards away. He was not 100 yards away from the board. Laz shook my hand hard, and it wasn't a fake smile. It was a real smile, not was a fake smile with a broken heart sort of either. With a broken heart smile, and it wasn't a fake smile with a broken heart sort of grip either. You can't melt down all the gold medals and cups I have, and they couldn't be a plating on the 24-carat friendship I felt for Lazlong at that moment. That was a pure. His friendship was as pure as a 24-carat gold. I realized then too that Laz was the epitome of what Pierre de Coubertin, founder of the modern Olympic Games. Pierre de Coubertin was the founder of the Olympic Games, must have had in mind when he said, the founder said that the important thing in the Olympic Games is not winning but taking part. The essential thing in life is not conquering but fighting well. Whatever Pierre de Coubertin said, he means Lazlong proved it by helping, by giving tips, by consoling him, by boosting him, by inspiring the narrator well. So the story ends here, and if you have any problem in this story, in any stanza, please ask me. Thank you so much.